Greetings, this is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central today on a special live stream. We don't usually do live streams on the weekends, but we're going to do it this weekend so that this weekend doesn't turn into your weekend. That's right. So let's go ahead and get started with this session. First and foremost, you know what you need to do. Go ahead and give us a like if you're watching on Facebook, a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, and then make sure to spread the word far and wide through the whole land where you people need to be when we go to make our final stand. And we're doing it right here on the Tubular Black Facts channel every single day. Every single day. All right, so let's go ahead and do our proverb of the day, and then we can go ahead and get into our story. And the story we're still telling, and it looks like we're going to be telling for the rest of this month, is actually the greatest story ever told about Sheba. How's it go? The Queen of Sheba and her only son Menelik. Want to make sure I got that title exactly right. The Queen of Sheba and her only son Menelik the First. Now most of you all out there probably have never heard of Menelik the First or Menelik the Second, who has a whole different story. Well, he has another part of the story that needs to be told, but we're not going to get into that. So before we go there, let's read the proverb of the day. Only when you have crossed the river can you say the crocodile has a lump on his snout. Only when you have crossed the river can you say the crocodile has a lump on his snout. And that is an Ashanti proverb. Only when you have crossed the river can you say the crocodile has a lump on his snout. All right, so let's go ahead and cross over to the other side and take a ride on the wild side while we read about the Queen of Sheba and her only son Menelik. Now I had to read ahead, I had to look ahead in this particular story to see just how long is it, because it's much longer than what I originally had expected. So we're going to go into extra innings, you might want to call it. And instead of ending this story this week, we're going to continue this story for as long as it takes. If it takes us to the end of July, well, we'll just have to read this story till the end of July, because this is the greatest story that's ever been told. And I have decided to go ahead and read it in its entirety. Not the whole book, just this particular story about the Queen of Sheba visiting Solomon. That particular part. So let's see where we're going to pick up at here. We're going to skip a little piece here, just a little piece, not even a half a paragraph. I mean, it's just a few lines. But where we're going to pick up at is with the narrative of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba continued. And King Solomon sent a message unto the queen, saying, now that thou hast come here, wilt thou go away without seeing the administration of the kingdom, and how the meals for the chosen ones of the kingdom are eaten after the manner of the righteous, and how the people are driven away after the manner of sinners? From the sight of it, thou wouldst acquire wisdom. Follow me now, and seat thyself in my splendor in the tent, and I will complete thy instruction. And thou shalt learn the administration of my kingdom, for thou hast loved wisdom, and she shall dwell with thee until thine end and forever. Now a prophecy maketh itself apparent in this speech. And the queen, okay, oops, almost forgot to do something here. There we go. Get this in here. Okay. Sorry about that. Almost forgot to get this piece in here. There we go now. All right. And the queen sent a second message, saying, from being a fool, I have become wise by following thy wisdom, and from being a thing rejected by the God of Israel, I have become a chosen woman because of this faith which is in my heart, and henceforth I will worship no other God except him. And as concerning that which thou sayest, that thou wishest to increase in me wisdom and honor, I will come according to thy desire. And Solomon rejoiced because of this message, and he arrayed his chosen ones in splendid apparel, and he added a double supply to his table, and he had all the arrangements concerning the management of his house carefully ordered. And the house of King Solomon was made ready for guests daily. And he made it ready with very great pomp, in joy and in peace, in wisdom and in tenderness, with all humility and lowliness. And then he ordered the royal table according to the law of the kingdom. And the queen came and passed into a place set apart in splendor and glory. And she sat down immediately behind him, where she could see and learn and know everything. And she marveled exceedingly at what she saw and at what she heard. And she praised the God of Israel in her heart. And she was struck with wonder at the splendor of the royal court, which she saw. For she could see, though no one could see her, even as Solomon had arranged in wisdom for her. He had beautified the place where she was seated, and had spread over it purple hangings, and laid down carpets, and decorated it with miskat and marbles and precious stones. And he burned aromatic powders, and sprayed and sprinkled oil of myrrh and cassia round about, and scattered frankincense and costly incense in all directions. And when they brought her into this abode, the odor thereof was very pleasing to her. And even before she ate the dainty meats therein, she was satisfied with the smell of them. And with wise intent, Solomon sent to her meats, which would make her thirsty, and drinks that were mingled with vinegar, and fish, and dishes made with pepper. And this he did, and he gave them to the queen to eat. And the royal meal had come to an end 3 times and 7 times. And the administrators and the counselors and the young men and the servants had departed. And the king rose up, and he went to the queen, and he said unto her, now they were alone together, take thine ease here for love's sake until daybreak, And she said unto him, Swear to me by thy God, the God of Israel, that thou wilt not take me by force. For if I, who according to the law of men am a maiden, be seduced, I should travel on my journey back in sorrow and affliction and tribulation. Concerning how King Solomon swore to the queen rather. And Solomon answered and said unto her, I swear unto thee that I will not take thee by force, but thou must swear unto me that thou wilt not take by force anything that is in my house. And the queen laughed and said unto him, being a wise man, why dost thou speak as a fool? Shall I steal anything? Or shall I carry out of the house of the king that which the king hath not given to me? Do you imagine that I have come hither through love of riches? Moreover, my own kingdom is as wealthy as thine, and there is nothing which I wish for that I lack. Assuredly, I have only come in quest of thy wisdom. And he said unto her, If thou wouldst make me swear, swear thou to me, for swearing is meet for both of us, so that neither of us may be unjustly treated. And if thou wilt not make me swear, I will not make thee swear. And she said unto him, Swear to me that thou wilt not take me by force, and I, on my part, will swear not to take by force thy possessions. And he swore to her, and made her swear. And the king went up on his bed, and on the side of the chamber, and the servants made ready for a bed on the other side. And Solomon said unto a young manservant, Wash out the bowl, and set in it a vessel of water, whilst the queen is looking on, and shut the doors, and go and sleep. And Solomon spake to the servant in another tongue, which the queen did not understand. And he did as the king commanded, and went and slept. And the king had not as yet fallen asleep, but he only pretended to be asleep. And he was watching the queen intently. Now the house of Solomon, the king, was illumined as by day, for in his wisdom he had made shining pearls, which were like unto the sun and moon and stars, and had set them in the roof of his house. And the queen slept a little, and when she woke up, her mouth was dry with thirst, for the food which Solomon had given her in his wisdom had made her thirsty, and she was very thirsty indeed, and her mouth was dry, and she moved her lips and sucked with her mouth and found no moisture. And she determined to drink the water which she had seen. And she looked at King Solomon and watched him carefully. And she thought that he was sleeping a sound sleep. But he was not asleep. And he was waiting until she should rise up to steal the water to quench her thirst. And she rose up, and making no sound with her feet, she went to the water in the bowl and lifted up the jar to drink the water. And Solomon seized her hand before she could drink the water, and said unto her, Why hast thou broken the oath that thou hast sworn, that thou wouldst not take by force anything that is in my house? And she answered and said unto him in fear, Is the oath broken by my drinking water? And the king said unto her, Is there anything that thou hast seen under the heavens that is better than water? And the queen said, I have sinned against myself, and thou art free from thy oath. But let me drink water for my thirst. Then Solomon said unto her, Am I perchance free from the oath which thou hast made me swear? And the queen said, Be free from thy oath, only let me drink water. And he permitted her to drink water. And after she had drunk water, he worked his will with her, and they slept together. And after he slept, there appeared unto King Solomon in a dream a brilliant sun, and it came down from heaven and shed exceedingly great splendor over Israel. And when it had tarried there for a time, it suddenly withdrew itself, and it flew away to the country of Ethiopia. And it shone there with exceedingly great brightness forever, for it willed to dwell there. And the king said, I waited to see if it would come back to Israel, but it did not return. And again, while I waited, a light rose up in the heavens, and a sun came down from them in the country of Judah, and it sent forth light, which was very much stronger than before. And Israel, because of the flame of that sun, entreated that sun evilly, and would not walk in the light thereof. And that sun paid no heed to Israel, and the Israelites hated him, meaning God. And it became impossible that peace should exist between them and the sun. And they lifted up their hands against God with staves and knives, and they wished to extinguish that sun. And they cast darkness upon the whole world with earthquake and thick darkness, and they imagined that that sun would never more rise upon them. And they destroyed God's light and cast themselves upon God, and they set a guard over God's tomb wherein they had cast him. And he came forth where they did not look for him, and illumined the whole world, more especially the first sea and the last sea, Ethiopia and Rome. And he paid no heed whatsoever to Israel, and he ascended his former throne. And when Solomon the king saw this vision in his sleep, his soul became disturbed, and his understanding was snatched away as by a flash of lightning. And he woke up with an agitated mind. And moreover, Solomon marveled concerning the queen, for she was vigorous in strength and beautiful of form, and she was undefiled in her virginity. And she had reigned for 6 years in her own country, and notwithstanding her gracious attraction and her splendid form, had preserved her body pure. And the queen said unto Solomon, Dismiss me, and let me depart to my own country. And he went into his house, and gave unto her whatsoever she wished for, of splendid things, and riches, and beautiful apparel, which bewitched the eyes, and everything on which great store was set in the country of Ethiopia, and camels, and wagons, and 6,000 in number, which were laden with beautiful things of the most desirable kind, and wagons wherein loads were carried over the desert, and a vessel wherein one could travel over the sea, and a vessel wherein one could traverse the air or winds, which Solomon had made by the wisdom that God had given unto him. Now that's heavy. He gave her a vessel wherein one could travel over the sea. So that's a boat. And a vessel wherein one could traverse the air or the winds, which he had made by the wisdom that God had given unto him. Well, that sounds a lot like an airplane, if you ask me. Concerning the sign which Solomon gave the queen. And the queen rejoiced, and she went forth in order to depart. And the king set her on her way with great pomp and ceremony. And Solomon took her aside, so that they might be alone together. And he took off the ring that was upon his little finger, and he gave it to the queen, and said unto her, Take this, so that thou mayest not forget me. And if it happen that I obtain seed from thee, this ring shall be unto it a sign. And if it be a man child, he shall come to me, and the peace of God be with thee. Whilst I was sleeping with thee, I saw many visions in a dream, and it seemed as if a sun had risen upon Israel, but it snatched itself away and flew off and lighted up the country of Ethiopia. Peradventure, that country shall be blessed through thee, God knoweth. And as for thee, observe what I have told thee, so that thou mayest worship God with all thy heart, and perform his will. For he punisheth those who are arrogant, and he showeth compassion upon those who are humble, and he removeth the thrones of the mighty, and he maketh to be honored those who are needy. For death and life are from him, and riches and poverty are bestowed by his will. For everything is his, and none can oppose his command and his judgment, in the heavens or in the earth, or in the sea, or in the abysses. And may God be with thee. Go in peace. And they separated from each other. And that is all we're going to read for today. So that's part. So the next part will be part 32. So we're finished part 31. We'll pick up at part 32 tomorrow. Crucially crucial. This is a crucially crucial story. The greatest story that's ever been told, I dare say. Because this is the story of how favor left Israel and was removed to Ethiopia. Think about that for a minute. Very interesting story. Very interesting story. And not tied up in the political mishmash of today. Because this particular book I'm reading from is vintage 1932. And the story is much older than that. This is the traditional story that's told in Ethiopia about the Queen of Sheba and her only son, Menelik. So we'll continue reading this story until we can complete it. So however long that takes, it's going to take at least another week, possibly a little bit longer. Depends on how fast I'm able to read. And I'm trying to read as slowly as possible so that everybody can pick up on what it is that I'm saying, because it's got a lot of these and those and thous and other words in there that and grammatical turns of phrase that are different from the way we speak today. So I'm reading as slowly as I can, and I hope y'all will stick with it and be able to get something from this story, because it's a very important story that has not been told in the United States. We don't hear this story. Nobody talks about this story. It's basically an untold story. One of the many untold stories of Black history, Pan-African history, African history, you name it. Meanwhile, we leave you with this thought. If you're watching on Facebook and you haven't given us a like, please do that now. If you're watching this on the YouTube, please go ahead, give us a thumbs up, and then go ahead and subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts channel right here on YouTube. We call it the Tubular Black Facts channel. Sign up for the Black Facts channel so that every time we come on, you will get notified. We've got a lot of special things we're going to be doing over here. It's a lot of things happening. I can't tell you everything now, because some things are still in the works. But you want to stay tuned to the Tubular Black Facts channel. In the meanwhile, may peace guide your way with justice, because anything less disgusts us. We love being discussed, but we do not like being disgusted. And I'm going to give a shout out to Larry Parker over here. I see you over there waving, Brother Larry. And we'll go ahead and do our, okay, no, I'm not doing that. We're going to go ahead and do our extra. Peace out without a doubt. We'll be black tonight, continuing with the story of Abraham Anabal in the land of our fathers, Ethiopia. Peace.